Hi, I'm Janelle Riley. I'm an editor at Variety. Thank you so much for joining us virtually for this Women in Film event. Today, we'll be chatting with the stars and creative minds behind the Paramount Plus original series Colin from Accounts about its much anticipated second season, premiering Thursday, September 26th, exclusively on Paramount Plus in the US. It's also my birthday. I like to pretend that this is your present to me.
Oh, happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Well, thank you. Early, yes. But it's such a treat that Women in Film got an exclusive sneak peek at the first episode. I'm going to try not to spoil the whole season because I did cheat and watch ahead. But please join me in welcoming the creators, stars, writers, executive producers, Harriet Dyer and Patrick Bramwell.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Thank
Hi.
you so much for being here. And as a huge fan of the first season, I just want to say I was so excited that you were coming back for a second season, but like also thank you for not messing it up because there is like this fear when you really love something and it's coming back and you're excited, but you're also nervous. I mean, was there pressure on you coming back for a second season?
Yes.
Yeah, there was.
I think so.
I think we felt it after the first season because so much lovely things were said about the show and people were really invested in it.
Yeah.
And so we're a bit like, oh God, how are we going to do this? But once we started writing again, all that went away. I think we got more nervous once we were in the edit.
Yes.
Because, when you're writing it, great, we can punt things to shooting. And we're shooting it, I'll punt it to the edit. But this is, they're going to watch this shot with this music.
Yeah. Don't mess this up.
Don't mess. This is what it's going to be.
The difficult second album thing somehow felt most potent in the edit.
Yeah.
But it also shouldn't have. I think that was just our stress and anxiety by the end of this long procedure. It's just the two of us. We don't have a writer's assistant. We don't have a writer's room. We don't have a personal assistant. We don't have anything. And we also chose to get married in the middle of the shoot, right in the middle. We didn't have we were married, already legally, but we threw a huge wedding right in the middle of our shoot without a wedding planner.
Ridiculous.
Without anything.
Ridiculous.
And we also have a 2-year-old. Anyhow.
And the 2-year-old.
So much going on.
By the way, it was meant to be a flower girl. And when we got to the moment, it became obvious she was never going to be a flower girl. So I had to carry her down. And I got up, they had like a makeshift sort of stage thing. Got up on the stage. Harry was walked down by her gorgeous dad. Everyone's like,
and my brother and sister is singing this song acoustically. We've gone way off Colin from Accounts now.
Yeah. And then she got up. It looked unbelievable. Got up and I'm holding our daughter. And
I took a few steps towards her. I thought, I know what's going to happen here. And I stepped towards her. I went, "Hi, Baba." And she smacked me across the face. And I think that was indicative of how little time we'd spent with her leading up to that moment because of Colin from Accounts season 2.
Yeah.
And also just the pressure. There was 200 people watching her. But all of that to say is by the time that was in the middle of the shoot, then we shot the last 4 episodes, then we're in the edit. And it was just burnout city. So we were scared that we hadn't done a good job.
Yeah.
But we feel really rested now. And we can look back and go, we did a good job.
Pretty good. Yeah.
By the way, these wedding stories, you said they're off topic, but they're not, because I feel like we're getting a sneak peek into maybe future season plot lines.
Oh, could be.
Hi.
I mean, we've got so many. I think our life is just filled with comedy.
It's got a big laugh on the day. So yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious though, how did the success of that first season influence the stories or the way you told them in season 2? I don't know if there were any changes you made or specific storylines that were sort of a response to viewer reactions.
Oh, I wonder.
I think the only thing I can think of, I generally say not much at all. I think once we started plugging back into the world and writing it, it felt very much like, oh, we love this world. And it's separate from the real world, from reality. But I think the most meta moment of it in terms of anything was in episode set later in the season. My character's going through something and he tries to get Colin into TV ads and tries to cast him and he gets pretty obsessed.
And it's probably the most doggy comedy that we get in the whole season.
Yeah. And there's a moment where I'm trying to make him do something for the casting director. It's an audition. And he's not doing anything. He's just standing there. And the casting director's like, "Mate, apart from the wheels, he's not special. He doesn't do anything." And that really tickled us because he doesn't do anything. He's so chill. He's so professional. He doesn't do anything though. He just stands there.
Doesn't do anything.
Occasionally trundles.
Yeah, he's a really chill guy.
Yeah, he's super chill.
I think the only thing that influenced season 1 to 2 is like we needed more Lee and Linnell. People were, I think they were so beloved.
Crying out.
So we made sure that it still felt natural because like Ashley doesn't want to spend time with them. So why would we put them in every episode apart from the fact that people love them? So we tried to walk that tightrope of what's an appropriate amount more we can hang out with them.
Yeah.
Also, the fans of the show are really ardent. Has it really changed your lives? You have people walking up to you every day and wanting to share dog photos with you?
Oh my goodness. I mean, it's catching on in the US slowly. The other day I had 3 people in 24 hours ask for a photo, just in and around the neighborhoods and wherever I was. And I was like, that's interesting because then you'd go a week with nothing. But I think it's very different in Australia and in the UK. I feel like we're well famous there.
Well famous, isn't it?
Well famous in that. But here it's a slow burn.
Because in the UK it's on the BBC 2, and so it's in every single home.
No one has to pay for it. There's no paywall. It's and that's so cool to be able to make something that everyone has access to. But in Australia, it's behind a paywall. But a lot of people, I think, have that subscription thing, and so it does really well there. But there's some sort of special sauce it has in the UK by being on public television.
Yeah, but I think fans of the show do feel a sense of ownership about it, and they can't wait to tell other people about it, which is the best.
Because it is a little bit of a it isn't
it's a little show that could.
Yeah, it's kind of catching fire slowly, so people get really excited about word of mouth with that.
Yeah,
I think it's so interesting too, because in so many ways the show feels so specific. It feels like you made it just for you and your group of friends, and then to find it has this universal appeal, which is usually what happens when you tell your stories.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's funny that it's we went to the BAFTAs a year or so ago, and the lady who won for I'm gonna forget her name. She won it for Dairy Girls, and she said there's a whole universe in the specific, and I think that that's really true. And also audiences are smart, and we grew up watching American stuff and didn't question it. We didn't question
the references.
What Gridiron was. We don't have that. We don't. It's all different, but we all just accept it because if it's good storytelling and
if it feels authentic,
if
it feels authentic, then you don't necessarily have to get the specifics of the reference. You just know that what's being said is true or means something. And so we never tried to universalize it or homogenize it in any way. We always lean into, and like you say, it's a show that we would want to watch. Like, it makes us laugh. I mean, not as much as we have watched it. We've watched it far too many times.
Doesn't make us laugh anymore.
Not anymore. But
it does actually.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes we'll quote our own show, which is really sad.
That only happened yesterday.
Yeah, well.
And that was fun.
And season 2 dives deeper into, the relationship between Ash and Gordon. What new aspects of their personalities and relationships can viewers look forward to? I love how, in the episode that we've just shown, they're trying to figure out if they have anything in common without the dog.
That's right, because the first season really goes for 5 weeks or something?
Yeah, it's not long. And then there's 2 weeks off between season 1 and season 2, not in real time. But then, they've only been together under 2 months, and they're trying to work out, was this all kind of a storm in a teacup?
Yeah, fever dream or something.
Are we being grown-ups here? So, as the season goes on, though, they are together.
Yeah.
And they just unpack things a bit more.
Yeah, and I think
go into his closet a bit more.
I think Gordon's got a deeper closet because he's in his 40s and he's still single. And why is that? And so Ashley starts to discover a couple of things about him, like, the amount of partners he's had, or, his habitual porn there's stuff that's a bit like, oh, now we have to talk about this, because they're living together. And so I think, on balance, it's, in season 2, Ash is a little bit like, am I making the right decision here? I don't think Gordon ever really questions it.
Yeah.
I think he's like, I'm in, because obviously he's punching above his weight. But she's a bit like, what about this guy? And so it was heaps of fun actually to do.
Yeah.
Because you're just watching these flawed characters, kind of just the chaos of them.
And the dance of like, is this good? Is this not good? Is this good? Is this not good? Which I think
Yeah.
is super common in dating, you
Yeah.
know, not that I've done it for a very long time.
But we had to be careful to show the moments where they are connected. Like those
Yes,
moments are
that's
so
right.
important. So the audience doesn't ever go, okay, well, just break up then. Like
Yeah,
you're not well
this
suited.
isn't worth it. Stop.
Yeah.
Shouldn't be this much work, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
we're hoping there's enough yummy
yeah,
for the yuck.
there's some yum in there.
You often find your characters in these wonderfully awkward situations. I don't necessarily want to give anything away in season 2 because there's so much to look forward to. But doing those scenes, has it gotten any easier for you to film those? Is it still like, do you write them and then like realize later you actually have to act them?
I had that massively in season 1. I was like, I can't believe I've actually got to show my nipple on the street now. I can't believe I've actually got to do a poo on camera now. I can't believe I've got to pee in a drawer now. And then I just would do it. But there was less of that in season 2. I mean,
Oh, there was one moment that you found tricky in the hospital. There's a moment in episode
with the catheter.
There's she's going about her duties in the hospital. Is that episode 2?
4.
It's 4. It's 4. Where she's got to. This is a real life story. Like there's a dear friend of Harry's who's a doctor, and we've
Poach her stories.
poached a lot of her stories and then scrambled them.
She gives them willingly, though.
She
loves it.
Extremely generous. And Ash is with this old man who requires a catheter, and she's having trouble.
Basically, she's trying to pull back his foreskin and put the catheter in, and hilarity ensues. But that was so awkward.
Because it required a prosthetic penis to be made.
Which was so lifelike in texture. And I mean, I've never been that close to like a 90-year-old
How dare you?
man's teen, but it was really hectic. Art department and makeup.
Did a great job.
They double teamed it. They couldn't work out whose department it fell into as well, because it was a prop, but it required so much hair and makeup as well. So it was really a Venn diagram of 2 fantastic departments that produced this penis, and it was so weird.
So it meant Harry was in the scene talking to this lovely old guy, and further down, popping out of the bed sheet was the penis.
Yeah, and they'd be like, cut, and then he'd be like, so I grew up in, blah blah.
With eight brothers out in Tarkana,
and then if I'm like, dude, we got to just cover it up. I know it's not real, but my brain kind of doesn't, so we just got to cover it up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I assume that some of these were based on true stories, but now I'm a little concerned about Mango Man.
Mango Man was
true.
And it was a mango specifically.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. It was a little unsettling because that used to be my dad's nickname because he would dress head to toe in like a mango color. So like.
So, I don't know. You got some questions.
Yeah.
And hopefully some answers.
Hopefully.
To that end, the show really does, push the boundaries of comedy while still being completely believable. What are the writing conversations around that like? Do you ever wonder if you've gone too far, or is there such a thing? Because life is so crazy.
Life is so crazy. It's you can go too far. I think I'm more prone to really silly stuff. Sometimes even if we're not writing anything, I pitch something at Patty and he's like, "What? No." And I like very silly, but he does too. We're a good what's that word?
We do balance each other. I think we do kind of we filter as we write. I don't think we ever get to a moment. I don't think it gets as far as us being on set going, oh, this is too much.
Yeah, because you've also got so many production meetings, for example, that penis, there's meetings and meetings about that penis. So you want to make sure you've weeded out anything that's too far by then. I mean, Ep 8, I have a pretty intense, I'm sorry, is that our computer making noises? Is it bothering you? It might be mine. Or it might be within the screen. We'll find out. Episode 8, I've got a pretty big look.
Yes.
There's a big look, and I thought it was too much because I'm used to how I look. I'm used to my face and skin and hair looking how it does. And Pat just kept maintaining it's not too much. It's funny. And I still actually don't know the answer. I feel like it's possible. It was too much.
It was funny, but it was also real because it doesn't give too much away. She's just post wisdom teeth surgery. And that's something we came from came out alive. Like we'd actually already written the opening of the show, and then Harry got her wisdom teeth out, and we're like, well, let's make it that.
It's like, it's so funny. It's so kind of pathetic and like.
It's much more fun. So she had that going on. Also,
we had to go to a wedding. The characters had to go to a wedding. It doesn't matter whose.
Yes.
But she was worried that her face was too puffy. So she cut a fringe to give it some more structure. She cut herself a fringe. And
bangs.
Bangs. And then that made her face look so fat that she got a spray tan to look skinny. So when you meet her in F8, she looks outrageous, and it's a dark spray tan.
Yeah.
But I like to think that every woman who's been a bridesmaid went a little too far, you know.
But that came from life as well, because weren't you talked into it by some woman who was like, no, there'll be flash photography, so you want to get the darker shade.
They always, I mean, I've had a handful of spray tans for like events, but I can't get over how every time I'm like, just take the blue out of me, they're like, hey, we're thinking Tahiti. And I'm like, you're not following me, guys. It's pretty, so that's, I don't know. I can't remember the question.
I actually related to that so much because I was in a bridesmaid last year, and I did the apply makeup tan. Yeah, which was not good for a pink dress that ultimately turned orange. Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
I do love seeing these characters who are allowed to be selfish and petty. I know most people call them flawed, but I don't necessarily see those as flaws. It's also, very rare for a female lead. What was it like to create a character that sort of breaks the mold of what we might expect from, the more traditional roles of women in comedy? And have you found people are really responding to that representation?
Yeah, they are. I found that first when I did a show called The Other Guy, and I played this girl called Stevie, who was just a bit of a mess. And people just come up to me and go, I am Stevie. I'm Stevie. But Stevie, like, also didn't have, she worked in healthcare, but I wanted Ash to be a real mix of all of it. I wanted her to be proper book smart. So she's 6th-year medical student.
Yeah.
But also just completely does not have her life together. I like the idea that someone could be giving you medical advice that isn't nailing it in life. I find that dichotomy quite enjoyable. But it was just important to me because I just think that, especially with like social media and the filtered lives that we look at, even when you just watch movies and stuff, everything is so it leaves women to feel like they haven't got their stuff together, that they're not pretty enough, smart enough, rich enough, whatever, skinny enough, all other things. And so it was an effort to just keep women layered and complicated.
To that end, the show is so funny, but it also has these really emotional scenes and so much heart. I can get like really emotional watching it. How do you sort of find that balance? Is it, I know it's a lot of it's in the script, but then on set, do you try it in different ways? Do you find it in the editing sometimes?
I think generally speaking, for those moments you're talking about, we'll shoot them as scripted. We always leave 5-10% free if the actors feel like, or we or someone of the actors want to try some runs of things, but generally that's better for comedy. But those heart moments are generally scripted, and we might bolster them or whatever in the edit, but we do that's kind of our tone. We love to find the really funny stuff and then pull the rug out with something, a punch in the guts or vice versa.
But also, like, Patty and I kind of did lots of drama as well. We've done a lot of drama, so it's right there for us both. And what's really sweet is that we have such a fun time on set, but then there's a scene in Ep 7 where it's like it just says Gordon cries, like he's got to cry, and it's so sweet. The crew will suddenly just give you space if you've got something to do. It's no longer jokey time. We've got to pull some big performances out all of a sudden. There's a nice kind of calm that falls over the crew where it's like, Mum and Dad have to do some proper acting, so let's not do silly stuff in between takes. We're gonna, like, it's like a big family on set, and the crew is so sensitive, and they look ahead and they're like, oh, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Let's not wear our crazy shirts today. Do you know what I mean? It's stuff like that. I feel like we we have a good crew that just will go with us where we need to go, and that helps us get there. Because if you create a jocular kind of feeling on set and then you suddenly need to like grieve, it's very hard to just do that in isolation. You need the entire room to kind of go there with you.
Yeah.
So I think it's really set by the crew largely, which is nice.
And what are some of the, primary themes or the messages you are excited for audiences to really take away from season 2, in addition to just laughing a lot?
I think we enjoy, how am I going to say this? Like putting out characters that don't have the same beliefs as us.
Oh, yeah.
Like that thing how you can break bread at Thanksgiving here or Christmas or whatever, and you've got family there that don't vote like you, that don't think like you. Yeah, it's a big one. And having like Linnell, for instance, in this season, she becomes quite a men's rights activist, and it's so outrageous. But I'm sure that some people will watch that and go, good on her.
Yeah.
Like, we're not actually saying she's wrong. We're just saying she's a person.
That's right. And it's the same with Lee. I mean, Lee is such a kind of a villain in a way, such a creep. And then he gets this scene in episode 8 where he's just a bit drunk and sort of downloading. He's just at the bar talking to Brett. And he's talking about he doesn't feel welcome at this young person's wedding. And back in the day, he never got to choose if he was A or B, so he just chose A, but actually maybe there's a bit of B in him as well. Like he gets a moment where he's not just a clown, he's actually, and also at the end of episode 7, he gets a moment where you go, oh, he's actually a person as well. And similarly, as a character we introduced who's Meggles's girlfriend, called Rumi, and at the outset, she's this outrageously abrasive character. But she's not there and gone. She stays, she hangs around, and it's, investigating the idea, what happens when your best friend's partner is kind of an asshole?
Yeah.
Because it happens all the time. Or your siblings marry someone you don't like. You're like, I've got to deal with you.
Yeah. I think what we're excited about in this season is giving stuff for us too, but also these other characters a bit more to play with.
Yeah.
And like the fact that everyone is good and bad all the time.
Yeah.
These two especially, we always show that. But yeah, that girlfriend character, she's a total pain, and then she's actually very forgiving and kind. And like, yeah, Lee and Linnell are outrageous in some of the things they say and do, but they're still people.
They're misguided at best. I don't think anyone is an out-and-out villain who's,
No.
I will ruin everyone's life. It's just they're just misguided or ignorant or blinded by their own sense of self.
Yeah.
And it's very, very human, all that stuff. I think that's what we love. We love the high comedy and low comedy of human frailty, really. And that sounds kind of more high-minded than it is, but it's just people being idiots. That's what we like. It's not that, people are idiots.
If you had told me, like, after season 1, I would ever actually feel bad for Lee, I would not have believed it. But it's also a testament to Darren's amazing performance.
He is amazing. He's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he met everything we threw at him. And he is a clown. And he wanted that kind of straight middle class white male frailty, like how they're a bit lost right now. They are the forgotten person, and that like they just reigned for so long, and now they're kind of under siege and stuff. It's like we wanted to give that a voice, not that that's right or wrong or anything. It's just like just to put it out there.
And it's funny. It's just really right
funny.
for comedy.
Yeah.
Whatever's funny, we try to do.
We do have some audience questions submitted from women in film. We have a lot of questions about the best and worst part of working with a dog on set. And is Colin a diva? Although you already said he just stands there. So
He's not a diva.
No, not a diva. And I mean, I feel really lucky that we got that particular dog actor, animal artist, because I feel like, we don't have long to shoot it. It's 4.5 days in season 1 and just 5 in season 2. And so when you add like a main character that is an animal that doesn't speak English, it's like, and then weather, we don't have a lot of time to muck around.
There was a snake that we used in episode 2, and that took up a lot of like trying to get the right shot and the right angle. Like if we didn't have our central character was an animal that would work well, we'd be in a
Mhm.
lot of trouble.
Been in a lot of trouble. So we're very grateful for that dog
Yeah.
and his Xanax, whatever he takes.
We also have a lot of questions about the story behind the name of the show. I've sort of know about it, but if you want to tell it in your own words.
Hmm.
It's virtually as is in season 1. Patty and I, not Gordon actually, Patty and Harriet fostered a dog called Minchu, and we didn't feel a lot for that name. And we basically had that conversation, like it should be like a human name. Yeah, like Colin. Yeah, like Colin from accounts, like Colin from accounts payable, like that Colin from accounts payable who's working on the big merger. Click. Like that was something that was said on our couch.
Because it tickled us. It
Uh-huh.
made us laugh.
And I don't know how we remembered it, but we did.
Yeah.
But also when we were naming our dog, I mean, his name's Walter, and I remember we wanted to call him Tony or Kevin. It's just like so silly.
Yeah.
But there's something so human about these particular dogs that have eyes that you just feel like they're people. But yeah, it just came out of our own silly life. We had to give Colin from accounts back because he had so many behavioral issues that I couldn't muster. And it was only ever a foster, like I was supposed to have him for 2 weeks.
He's very happy now. And he's alive. That's not a euphemism for he's been very happy. He's
doing great.
doing well.
But yeah, we were supposed to look after him for 2 weeks, and he just he'd started to try to bite me a bunch, and I was like, well, I'm clearly not the dog specialist he needs.
No,
But he gave us so much.
he did.
So it was always Colin. You never tried other names like James or Philip or.
No.
Oh, good names. Again, great names.
No, we didn't. But when we scripted it, maybe he's a Walter or an Ian. Like that's an in joke because our dog's Walter and our producer's name's Ian. Like we were just trying on a few and chucking our friends' names in. But
Yeah.
no, he was always Colin. And it's funny, as the writer and producer with Patty on this, I was never actually that sold on calling the show Colin from Accounts. And like I'm still like maybe on the fence because I think some people love it and some people are like, it's too quirky or something.
I think a lot of people have gone, look, ignore the name. It's not, you'll love it. And it's like, I think it has been a deterrent.
It hasn't, because people get very excited when they realize that he's not Colin from accounts.
That's
I think that
right.
he is. And then they're like, oh my God, it's the dog. But I don't know. I think it's got such a broad quality, and there's a dog on the poster.
I think it helps because once people discover that, it's a bit of a secret, and it helps I'm going to tell people to watch this show.
Yeah, maybe.
I think it helps. It's a bit of an in-joke that you discover really soon.
Yeah.
It's interesting because I found fostering or adopting pit bulls, giving scary looking dogs human names completely changes people's perspectives. I've had a Fred and a Patricia and now a Wilbur. And it's like people will ask their name and you see their whole attitude shift when they're like, his name is Fred.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His name is not like Chicken Ripper.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Shredder. Yeah.
Yeah. But then a couple of
Totally.
days ago, I took Walter out of the car and he bolted after a squirrel across the car park. And so I'm screaming, Walter, like really serious.
Yeah.
So it's got a flip side. When you're yelling the name Walter really angrily,
Yeah.
you look silly.
Yeah.
It's better than yelling Chicken Ripper, though.
Sure. I mean, I don't think Chicken Ripper is really on anyone's radar.
It could be.
Let's check Nameberry.
I found out years after the fact that my neighbors used to call me Wilma because they didn't know my name. And all they ever heard me doing was going, Fred, get back here. Fred, where are you? Like
That's amazing.
funny.
That's very good. I can see Wilma. You could be a Wilma.
I like that name. Yeah,
Oh,
I'll
good.
take it.
That's cute.
A lot of questions about improvisation, whether you ad lib a lot on set, is it fully scripted, or if you even, improv with actors in development.
So it's fully scripted, obviously, as when we show up at rehearsal. I think there is an element of play always.
Always.
And we generally just shoot what's scripted for the first chunk of the coverage, and then we might do a fun run.
Mhm.
So if someone had like an idea that they were bursting to try, we'll like go for it. I think what helps that improvised feel though is that Patty and I wrote it, so we have like a bit of a healthy disrespect for the words.
Yeah.
So if it's like, come over here, we might say, oi, come here. And like that has a natural sound in our mouth because we didn't learn the words the night before, like all our other good actors did.
Yeah.
So I think more things feel improvised because we are probably just saying maybe 85% of the right words at the right time.
Yeah,
to
that's
say.
right. That's right. And then, but then also depends on the predilection of the actor. Like Helen, who plays Linnell, she's she's theatre royalty essentially, and so she learns her lines.
She learns every piece of punctuation.
Yeah.
And she doesn't go off it. And if you want her to improvise, she will think of something, and it's always good. It's always good, but she will never she'll be like, she's like the script is God.
Yeah. Did she improvise Checks You're Brave?
Yeah.
In episode 6 in the first season, when she comes in and Harry was like, say something like slightly demeaning or something. And so Harry walks in and she's wearing this costume. And Linnell goes,
like square checks, the jumpsuit.
And Linnell goes, oh, Checks, you're brave.
And it's just such a funny line, and I wouldn't have thought of it.
But it's bang on character.
Checks, you're brave. It's such a backhanded compliment. Like, you're brave because they look shit on your tummy or your ass, or what is it? And it just leaves her going, what, Mum?
Yeah.
So someone like Helen absolutely can improvise, but has to be asked to, because she's just so delightfully respectful.
Yeah.
And then sometimes people come on and they've heard that this is the comedy, and maybe they have like one scene, and they come on and they try improvising way too soon and way too much. And you're like, hey,
let's try one on script.
We like to have fun here.
Yeah.
Don't get us wrong.
Yeah.
But let's do one a little closer to as written. And because sometimes that, it's just not the right tone.
Yeah.
We have a lot of questions about the chemistry, very natural and relatable chemistry. And obviously you're together in real life, but that doesn't always guarantee chemistry on screen. I mean, did you find you sort of had to develop it, or, navigate the balance between personal experience and fictional storytelling?
It was a real leap of faith, I think. We just hoped it would work.
Yeah.
And we shot it.
Yeah, because we'd already come that far.
Yeah.
No, thankfully we have it, but we'd also worked on stuff, we've worked on stuff together for ages. And so thankfully, I think we knew it was there. But we had a good friend of ours, Leon, who knows us as a married couple. And he was like, he saw the first couple of episodes of season 1. He goes, thank God you've got chemistry on screen. Just want to say that, because it wasn't a done deal.
That's right.
And also we've got so many stresses between the two of us. We're producing and writing and acting in this show and in season 1 there was COVID, and we had a newborn. In season 2 we had a 2-year-old, and that's no easier than a newborn or COVID. And we've just got stresses. So there's been times where I've thought, oh my God, in the edit, we were having a really bad day and you can't see it.
Yeah. Those are real victories when those happen.
It's like, actually, we take joy in being Gordon and Ashley for each other.
Yeah.
Because sometimes being Harry and Patty to each other is too loaded.
Also, it is. Also, I don't think chemistry is a magical thing. I think it's like, if the writing's good and the actors are good, it should be, the chemistry should be there, it really should.
It should be.
It's not always, of course, but
it isn't, hey.
Also often it's not well written, or you've cast the wrong person,
Yeah.
But I think it certainly helps we wrote this for ourselves as well. And we're always, as writers, advocating for the actors. So they're 2 fully developed 3-dimensional characters. And I think that really helps, ground them both as well and interact with each other.
We actually have some questions about the writing process. What is your #1 advice for new, young, and emerging screenwriters?
I think, oh goodness.
Hmm.
You've got more experience than I do, Patty. I think my thing would be, if it doesn't feel, it's like dialogue, for instance, doesn't feel like it would come out of somebody's mouth, then it probably wouldn't,
Yeah.
Don't write anything that you can't genuinely hear someone delivering very well in your own head.
Yeah.
Start that again. And I don't know, mine's mostly probably dialogue.
Yeah, I think that's really good advice, actually, because there's a lot of bad dialogue out there. And there's I think a lot of time writers are like, well, this is what the character says in this moment. It's like, yeah, but it's not what a person would say in this moment.
Yeah. There's a real TV, what's the word, like a habit or a kind of
Trope
of where characters, especially in drama, go, what's that what thing people do? Like, where it's like,
I was just thinking, what?
well, I
I
was
think-
just thinking this, and it's like there's like a what thrown in just to take up more lines, I feel like,
Or
on
to
the
justify
page.
that they're about to say the thing that they're
Yeah, well,
going to say.
there's something, it's like a short line, and then the other character goes, what? And the other character just says more stuff, but it's like, just say the stuff.
Yeah.
Humans do. So we never wait for someone to ask us what. Like, it's just an odd thing that I've noticed in so much TV, especially American TV, but it's totally in Australia as well. It's little things like that that I think really are just like, we're just going to get the pages out.
I would say
It's like extending it.
what could be helpful as an exercise is to write out a transcript of an actual conversation between people.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
And see how messy it is. It doesn't sit like a script, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
I think if you're trying to do a naturalistic style, of course, you know,
Yeah.
this does not work for David Lynch, but I think dialogue's a huge one. But also, I would say as a young writer, it's a balance between following your gut and being very ready to learn. I think if you got to have your ears and you be like a sponge, but also that sponge has got to filter out the shit that actually doesn't ring true, because there's always stuff to learn, but there's also a lot of bullshit that people are teaching. So I think that's try and ride that balance. It's a pretty messy process, I think. I don't think it's a clean process at all, but you've got to enjoy it at least at some point.
Yeah, and try to tell a story that's authentic to you. You know, I don't know what a Midwestern auntie sounds like. I have to write what an Australian auntie sounds like before I can do that. You know, like this is the first thing I've written. So I've got to keep it close to a domestic world that I understand. And as I grow as a writer, I will hopefully have a better ear for everything. But I think probably just start with what you know. Start with a story that feels like it could come out of your life.
Or at least excites you,
Yeah.
you know, because otherwise there'd be no sci-fi being written at all.
That's true.
You know, something that, but maybe do it in your own vernacular.
Yeah.
A lot of advice from two people who've written one show.
Yeah.
I always thought the what thing was because I don't know if it is the same over there, but here we're taught like you can't have big chunks of monologues. So you're trying to like trick someone into thinking, oh, it's not that long. See, this person has a line here.
Yes. Yes.
Possibly, but it just never rings true.
Just make the monologue better. Make it, because you could do huge chunks, and if it's a good monologue, it's absolutely engaging. And
or it could be broken up with something that just isn't what, like it could be
like why?
Like it could be a conversation. But yeah, there's just filler out there, I've noticed. And also I'm saying that from the perspective of an actor. I've done a bajillion self-tapes and auditions, you know, but it's just like sometimes I'm like, this is really hard to learn, and it's always if it doesn't feel right in the mouth.
We have a really interesting question from a Women in Film member. It's challenging finding shows that your partner also wants to watch. Did you think about that at all when writing the show?
No. I think it's come out of just, as Pat said before, like we are both advocates for our characters.
Yeah.
So if someone's watching it in a romantic partnership, whether it's heterosexual or not, like two women can watch the show and love it, two men can watch the show, like, but it's just there's two people in love, there's two perspectives, and they butt up against each other. And I'm always fighting for her, and he's always fighting for him. And I think that makes it quite satisfying to watch in a couple or as a partnership, but also single people can get into it as well. But we have heard that so many times.
We've heard it so much, and also like
I can't find anything that my husband will watch with me or anything my wife will watch with me except that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big ones. Yeah, I think, and part of the secret to that is like you don't actually have to the couple doesn't have to find an answer. They just have to be heard.
Yeah.
Which is such a big problem in couples. You know, there's usually the guy who's trying to solve it, and the woman who's just wanting to be heard. Like both these characters, you can just give them their voice, and that's all you need to do, as long as it's authentic and hopefully funny. And
also, we don't tie it up with a big pretty bow at the end and go, see, no problems. It's like the problems just kind of snowball.
You know, actually, there's a question about how many seasons do you envision the story needs to complete, or are you just sort of taking it as it comes? Did you have like a 5-year plan?
We don't have a plan. I think we're taking it as it comes, honestly. We with the end of season 2, as all of you will see, I hope. We leave it on a little bit of a, it's certainly not resolved.
No.
And we wrote that and did it slightly cheekily.
It was cheeky.
Because we're sort of forcing the hands of our financiers.
Of our overlords.
Yeah.
We made it a bit impossible for them. But also, if they didn't want a season 3, they wouldn't have let us shoot that. They would have said, hey, at script stage, could you make this possibly a bit more ambiguous?
Yeah.
So I feel like we've got a 3rd season coming.
Yeah.
It's up to us to start working on it soon, though, because we're about to get busy as actors. So we've got to start writing it whether people want it or not. Do you know what I mean? And then the impulse we have is to leave people wanting more, I think.
Yeah.
So I think instead of 6 seasons, it might be more like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I mean, season 1, you kind of wrote yourselves into a corner with them giving away.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes,
Uh,
exactly.
did
Because
you-
we weren't sure. No, we
had
didn't.
no
We
idea.
had no plan on that one.
Yeah, because at the end of season 1, we were like, is this we didn't know if we were going to like
We
this
didn't
at all.
know if it would be a decent TV show.
Mm.
So we were like, hey, if this is a limited series, and they went and got their dog back, well done. But then people loved it and we loved it. So we kept going. And season 2, we definitely had an eye on season 3 more than we did season 1 to 2.
Yeah.
So do you have a resolution to the cliffhanger? I won't ask you to reveal it, but do you have ideas already?
Not a set one, like
Got some ideas.
we got some ideas.
Yeah.
You mentioned financing, and we actually have a question. Why is it important to share stories to inspire our communities, and why should more funding be put to tell these stories?
Well, I think it's so important to tell stories because it's this story is like the most important thing that humans created. It's how we connect to each other. It's how everything is a narrative. We're designed to create narrative in our lives and our relationships. We create story all the time.
Yeah.
So it's so important to write good stories and present good stories so that we can all be reminded that we're connected. That's really why stories are important. And of course, well, we could buy another 300 destroyers, or we could, make some incredible stories that connect people. I'm always in favor of putting money behind the arts.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah, it's funny. Even, our daughter just turned 3. She's starting to make stories up with her toys. It's just innate, isn't it? It's like storytelling's just so in us. And yeah, in terms of local stories, I mean, this is the thing. If the funding just went to massive Marvel stuff all the time, then we would lose. It's like we would lose threads of art forms everywhere. I mean, everyone's trying to, in every country, in tribes and stuff, everyone's trying to hold on to their language and their art forms, aren't they? So it just keeps more streams alive.
Any stories that the 3-year-old has come up with that you might want to poach for the next season?
No, it's largely just saying stuff that she's heard us say or other kids say, and it's like,
we couldn't say they're good stories at this time.
it's just that the land of make believe is appearing in her head.
Yeah.
But it's silly stuff like, you go to bed. No, you go to bed. Like,
Yeah.
where'd you get that from, Joni?
Yeah.
I am curious about how the writing collaboration works. As someone who doesn't really play well with others, do you sit in a room together? Do you bounce ideas off, or and then go off and write different parts of the script? And who has veto power, or maybe both of you do?
Both. It's a 50-50. We plot the whole thing together in a room. We walk around and we get cups of tea and we think, and that takes a while. But we assign scripts, so we split the season in half.
Yeah.
Every alternate episodes.
Last season I was 1, 3, 5, 7, and this season is 1, 5, 7. So, we odds and even it. And so that starts from being 2 on top of each other.
Yeah.
And we get very excited to show our first drafts to each other.
Yes. We'll give each other like the first draft and then loiter in a room nearby and just wait for like some sort of laughter or some sort of, and they go, what was that? Which bit?
Yeah, that bit, yeah.
We're basically just trying to make each other laugh, which is delightful and sad in equal measure.
Yeah, it's hard to say what's better, sitting and listening to them read your first attempt, or like just going for a walk so you don't hear any of it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you don't hear a laugh, you start to wonder. And if you do hear a laugh, then you're just annoying going, oh, yeah, did you like that? Yeah.
And also we know now that like the non-laugh heavy in script form are some of our best episodes.
Yeah, that's right. Like at 5
and 6
really stressed us out when in the edit, because at 5 didn't have as many hard jokes as other ones. And so many people say it's one of their favorite episodes.
Yeah.
Because we just messed with it. We just fucked with it a bit. So yeah, it's how we write though is we do give each other enough space.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of one of the funnest parts going out to script.
Yeah, but also we might be across from a room from each other and just go, hang on, I'm just struggling with this thing, and we'll talk about it.
Why did we say he was going to get in the car? Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah.
We've got a good shorthand for that.
Do you mind if, you're reading somebody else's work and they're standing there and they're watching for a reaction? Do you feel pressure or? Yeah,
it's not ideal. That's why we'll go to another room where we can still hear what the others.
Yeah, we try to. Yeah, it does. You do feel pressure.
You can't go here, read it.
Patty's got a bit more hygiene than I do. I loiter, and he's more like, it's okay, whatever you think is good. And I panic that it's terrible straight away. And so I try to stick around and listen.
Have you looked into those paintings with the eyes that move that you can?
Yeah.
Really
That's good for a two-way mirror.
Better than a nanny cam.
Just stand and watch. A nanny cam. We should set up cameras and watch each other read.
Yeah. Just read it in front of that teddy bear. No reason.
Finally, another question from an audience member. What was the biggest challenge you experienced during the production process, and how did you overcome it?
Interesting. I guess of season 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because season 1 was COVID and torrential rain. They were unbelievable, and I don't know how we did it, but we just through the grace of whatever. Season 2,
it was like really dumb stuff, like accommodation and putting that wedding in the middle. Just personal stuff leaking into the professional, I think.
We nearly lost a couple of key sets.
Yes.
At the outset. The brewery was like, they'd sold the brewery and it was gone. It was gutted. And so we're like, oh no. And the production team, unbelievable. They recreated the set, a version of the set, and we were able to get the same space.
Yeah, the space was essentially now a warehouse. The bar was gone, everything was gone. The barrels, everything was gone.
You would have no idea. Yeah.
Everything was gone. It was an empty space. Whereas before it was a brewery.
Yeah.
Like we just labeled it as our stuff.
Yeah.
But it was a working brewery, and then it was just an empty warehouse. So we got that back.
Also, we lost Gordon's house.
Almost lost Gordon's house. We lost Linnell's house.
Our locations manager was unbelievable, really. That was actually
going to be a big one. If we had lost Gordon's house, we didn't know what we were going to do, because it didn't make sense for him to have moved in that 2 weeks.
And you could do it. It just wouldn't be an interesting story point. And if for the eagle-eyed women in film member, you would go, I think they lost that location, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had some of that stuff. And also just Sydney.
Yeah, with a storm.
Real estate turnover is just insane.
Yeah.
It's insane. And so you just lose stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But we got all our cast back, and I would say that was the biggest one. We were kind of blessed in production. It was just really managing our own stress.
Yeah.
Kid and stuff.
Yeah. Childcare, not seeing her for days. Crazy.
Maybe a morbid, inappropriate question, but dogs do have a shorter lifespan than humans. Do you keep Colin in bubble wrap at all times, or
You cryogenically freeze him in between seasons.
How old is he?
I don't know. 100?
I actually don't know how old he is. I think he might be about 7 or 8.
Oh, really?
Really?
I don't know.
So he's like 4.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
He's looking a little stockier this season. I think that he's been hitting the turkey treats, but so's our own dog.
We're more concerned about our own dog's mortality. Walter, we think about it every day.
See, Walter's irreplaceable. No offense, but Zach is a border terrier. They're out there.
They're a breed. They look like.
We thought that it was just a mutt. We thought we picked him up, and then and here's other backups, and we're like, oh, it's a thing. Border terriers. No offense to the BT community, we didn't know it's a breed.
Yeah.
And so it would be a bit like replacing your kid's goldfish, and it would be very sad, and it would have a slightly different fin, but we'd get by.
Or we could, maybe we've got enough footage of him so we could do like a Harrison Ford in the
Yeah.
Indiana Jones, and we could just, we could use his, I'm sure we've got the technology and the budget for that.
But truly, we're more worried about this.
Come on.
Oh,
More worried about
More worried about this guy.
this one. But there's nothing wrong
aw.
with it. He's gonna live forever.
Yeah.
Oh
fortunately.
yeah. Wilbur and I made an agreement that he will
Yeah.
only die after me. So
Yeah, fantastic. So you get it.
Yes.
well, again, thank you all so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure speaking with both of you and Walter. For everyone watching at home, season 2 of Colin from Accounts premieres on Thursday, September 26th, exclusively on Paramount Plus in the US, with all episodes available to stream at launch. Thank goodness. Thank you again so much for being here.
Thanks, Janelle. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks for film.
Yeah, thanhere. Thanks for allowing me to be here.
He's here.
Ooh,
Gross.
thanks.